Coming up is an episode on What's Up with Wendy's podcast with producer-actress Jenny Paul. We're talking about her new shoppable comedy series, Adulting with Jane, in which she plays Jane. You won't want to miss this. Award-winning producer, actress, CEO of Intent Entertainment, and executive producer of Adulting with Jane, a new shoppable how-to comedy series. I'm thrilled to welcome as my guest, Jenny Paul.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. I'm so looking forward to this. I love the content. Love as an executive producer of television shows and stuff. I just am crazy about the content, the Kenshi music, everything. How in the world did you ever come up with this?
Well, I think sort of my MO as a person has always been a little bit sort of teacher meets creative. And so I think I sort of hit in the last maybe, 6 or 7 years, the thought of all of my peers and the people that are a bit younger than me hitting these walls with things like sewing and cooking and, communicating about mental health and communicating about sexual health and all these different things that seem not so bad if you kind of look at it in a different context, but because of the way that, that our culture sort of developed and the way that we think about things, they're a little intimidating. So I felt reasonably strongly about kind of, one, making those things a little bit better for people, but two, also sort of making them fun and funny because there's such humor in the idea that like most of us would rather go to H&M and buy a new shirt than sew on a button on an old shirt. So the idea that like it's just like inherently this situation that we all kind of feel, unanimously is pretty funny to me. So that's kind of where it came from. Of it's just, kind of inherently funny, plus the idea that people can kind of learn these things very quickly and not feel so, unempowered by them, as it were.
Okay, so Adulting with Jane, one of the first narrative series ever to feature shoppable technology. It's basically think sitcom how to. It's just okay. You taught me how to change a tire. Thank you so much.
I taught me how to change a tire too. That was the first time. Well, that's part of why we wrote a whole bunch of episodes and we were trying to decide what was going to be the pilot, since it's a little loose and it's very short, so it didn't really need so much introduction. And I thought, let's start with the thing that I've been scared of my whole life, which is the idea that if I changed a tire and put it back on and then somebody rolled away and like got hurt. And then I was like, no, like this is actually way better, I would talk to friends about, this particular topic. They're like, it's so easy. My dad taught me when I was like 12. And I was like, ha ha ha. My dad doesn't know how to change his tire. So like, I think that was the biggest thing for us is like, let's just like start out with a bang with something that like enough people don't know how to do and is like, a little intimidating to most people, I'll say.
But the videos, yeah, it's true. Very intimidating, by the way. The videos, they're short, they're clever, and people can click on products while watching the episode. Really easy to buy it and then go easily back and return to the episode. Brilliant. I can't even say enough about it.
So yeah, I mean, I think this idea also is very well suited to this shoppable idea, this technology that people have been developing over the last few years is sort of really well suited to this content because, in order to be able to change a tire, you need a jack. So if you want to learn how to do something, basically we decided to sort of incorporate the tools as the shoppability factor. So if you watch this episode and you go, gee, I want to get this all over with. I want to buy a kit and then just throw it in my trunk and be done with it. Like it's sort of all encapsulating. So that was the idea, is that we could use the shoppability element to get people, if it's a sewing kit, say, they could just buy the kit and like stick it in their closet and like, that's taken care of. It's not, done all in one shot. So we're using that mostly for the tools. And then occasionally we'll throw in something that's kind of fun. Like you can, click on somebody's, shirt if it's really cute, or something that's, genuinely fun. We'll also kind of Easter egg that into the episode as well, in addition to whatever the tool is for the adulting skill.
It's so fun. I mean, it must be so much fun to produce. and to be a part of and to be in. What is the production process like? Especially now? So, okay, did this start during COVID, right before COVID? When did all this come about?
So we had a sort of an outline sketch for a 7-episode season last September or so. And so what we did is we went ahead and we shot the first 3, and we packaged them and got them ready to go. And we had a big premiere in New York in November of last year.
So sad I missed that.
It was actually really fun. It was I would say it was one of like the last like 3 or 4 things that I did that was like a big, like a big party before COVID. Now I'm like, what's a party? I don't know what party.
Right. What's getting dressed? What's getting out of your leggings now?
I don't even know. Like today the choice was like shorts or leggings. I don't know. Is it hot enough in the house? I'm not really sure. So basically we premiered the 3 episodes and we started sort of marketing them and getting people kind of interested and out there. And then, of course, COVID hit, and what we decided to do, instead of finishing the other 4, we decided to shuffle the season and move up our episode that was about mental health, because everybody was experiencing, mental health anxiety at the same time. So we moved up our episode and we actually shot the 4th episode, which was supposed to be the 6th episode, all remotely. So what ended up happening was we, basically got all of our equipment out of storage, and it was all literally in my kitchen. And all of the different departments were telling me what to do with the camera, with the light setup, with the sound. So I had everything in my kitchen because we wanted to make sure that we weren't together. This was back in like April of last year or this year. And so we did the whole thing remotely, which was kind of a big pain in the butt, but it worked out. So, it's still a good episode, and it's, when you have one person doing the job of 8 people, it's a little stressful.
That could be an episode in itself, right?
Exactly. Like watching Jane try to teach all of these things with like all of her different departments and her different cameras and lights and things. And then we put that episode out in kind of June, July, and then we sort of started playing it by ear as far as COVID goes. So we actually ended up shooting an episode about how to make soup, which will probably come out. And we're thinking probably January because, we want it to be during soup weather, but also have people, not have it not interfere with the holidays so much. And then we're shooting one this week that's a sexual intimacy health episode, which is less about the things that are kind of, dirty and naughty possibly, and more about the things about like communicating with your partner about what you like, what you don't like, and feeling safe. And so we're going to probably end up having the first season that we planned, instead of having it all come out in 2020, we'll probably have it all out by like mid 2021. So that's sort of how it's played out is we're still able to do it because we're a small crew, and, we're 12, and we can do 6 of those people can be online.
Right.
So it's been a struggle, but because we're so small and because we're so, sort of careful, and we have good access to tests in New York and everything else, that we've been able to sort of play it by ear a little bit.
Oh my God, thank God. If you just I'm talking to Jenny Paul. She is the executive producer of Adulting with Jane, a new shoppable how-to comedy series. She is Jane. Now, how did the name Jane come about?
I think the most important thing that we as a team were talking about early on in the development of the show was that she's sort of an everyday Jane, that the idea is that she could be you. And that was sort of the genesis of the name Jane, which weirdly enough is close enough to Jenny that it kind of gets confusing. But at the same point, it was sort of the idea that, that you are her and she is you, and that, that the problems she's having could or couldn't represent what you're going through as a person around that age or maybe a little younger.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And the mission of this is to partner with brands, people, products. Tell us about that.
So yeah, basically, another sort of big, deep realm of what's going on with the show and how we're thinking about it. But another thing that we sort of face as a generation, and we had a lot of talk about this very early on, is the idea that we're buying things from different companies, and there's not a lot of sense of quality with the way that people shop. So, you buy something on Instagram and you hope for the best. And the idea being that we wanted, if we were going to do something like the shoppability factor and offer, sort of tools and different things through a shopping element, that we wanted to make sure that the companies that we were providing links to and giving our audiences, direct access to through the video were strong following companies. And so I think that's been a big company, and it's more on the company side than it is on the production side, but more of like a mission of finding and, kind of tagging really strong, high quality companies that back up their products and that are, that really have people's good interest in mind, in order to be able to say to our audiences, the thing that we provided that click through to is actually a quality item. So if you buy it, we can stand behind it.
It's so interesting that you say that, because now, especially now, everyone is shopping online. And I think we're going to lean even more towards that going forward, because stores are going out of business. People aren't going into stores anymore. And it's true, when you click on something on Instagram to buy, or you click on something that you see, you talk about something and it's already on your feed somewhere, right? It's not always you get it, and it might not always be the quality, or it might not always be from a company that you can ever get in touch with again. Hasn't that happened to you?
Multiple times. It happens to me all the time, and every time it happens, I kind of like hit my, I kind of like hit myself in the foot or something. I don't know, and I'm like, why did I do this again?
Right.
I bought something that looked really pretty online, and I bought it, and I can't return it, and it doesn't fit, and the quality is garbage, and I always think to myself, like, I knew better than this. But I think it's that idea of, we're being sold to on a level of the attractiveness of the thing and not necessarily the quality of the thing. So the idea being like, it's a really pretty dress, but that doesn't mean it's perfect for my body. But at the same point, the company doesn't support, maybe it's just one of those companies that, like, it came straight from China. Like, it could be anything where the company doesn't support, doesn't stand by the product and doesn't say, like, you can return this thing if it's not right for you, or if it's falling apart, that sort of thing.
So very true. Okay, so take us back to your career, before Adulting with Jane, because I find it so interesting. So before Adulting with Jane started, because you did get a business degree from Harvard.
Well, I should correct. It's not a full degree. I just did a business program at Harvard. Saying that I have an MBA from Harvard would be like a long stretch. But
okay.
I actually did the degree, or the certification, I should call it, because I really felt like I was moving from, basically I'm a career actor, and I've also kind of tutored on the side the whole time. So I teach SAT and ACT tests, and I'm sort of constantly in tune to
oh God,
to
where were you years ago when I needed that?
So that's been that's really been my life, is that, kind of getting people ready for the concept of adulting, and and it's for SATs and ACTs, there's a lot of content and things like that, but it's also a lot of just like supporting people and realizing they're not alone in whatever they're doing. And then on the actor side, I did the show Jessica Jones, and I had like a bigger part on the show Looming Tower. And
oh my God, you were so good. Starring Jeff Daniels also too.
Oh my God, he's amazing. I mean, I actually didn't get to work with him. I only got to sit with him in like the hair and makeup chairs. But he's
good enough.
a fascinating guy. He really genuinely cares about what he's doing, and more often than not, he'd be talking about something that was like, he was worried that he was going to mispronounce his Arabic today, and and how important it is that he doesn't do that. Just very conscientious guy. But basically, I come from both of those worlds, and I'm still kind of in both of those worlds. So the idea of starting a business that's a startup versus just producing a show was really important to me to feel like I wasn't mishandling the business decisions. And that is why I ended up in the Harvard program, is really trying to understand how to have a startup and not have it tank just because I didn't have any experience in that department.
Oh, so smart, so smart. So what inspires you? What inspires the episodes for the shows Adulting with Jane, the series of it? Like, Is it, is it all of you together, all 12 of you together? Do you all play different parts? Is it a combination? Is it mostly you?
I